Have you ever gone to Tech Week or the day of a big performance or audition and realized that you had lost your voice? I have been there, girl, many times, especially middle school and high school. I used to lose my voice all the time. I was constantly fatigued and hoarse.
Still recording. Start. I want to. I asked her to take out the trash. She rips the bag and it spills everywhere. Like literally the simplest of tasks she can't even do.
You can hear that my voice is really hoarse. I'm talking really loud and low and frying my voice a lot. I did not know what I was doing wrong, and now I am a professional singer and musical theater performer, and I have not lost my voice in years. It was a journey to get here, y'all, but I'm going to teach you in today's video how to never lose your voice again. And if you have big Broadway dreams like me, I'm going to teach you how to get your voice to be healthy, sustainable, and strong enough to withstand an 8-show week. I'm going to start by telling y'all a little bit about my journey with my voice, and then we're going to get into all the tips, the things that you should avoid and things that are good for your voice, how to prevent losing your voice, and what to do if you are fatigued or sick. Let's get into it. Growing up, I always had a raspy voice. Once I got to middle school and high school, I would talk a lot and I would talk loud. My vocal technique wasn't amazing, and that definitely did play a part. But the main reason that I was losing my voice all the time was because I was speaking very badly. It was so bad to where I was bullied over my voice and how I sounded, and people made fun of me like almost every day, saying that I sounded like a man or I sounded like I smoked. And as someone who wanted to be a singer, it made me feel so bad about myself, and I wondered what was wrong with me. Nothing was wrong with me. I just did not know how to properly use my voice in order to not lose it. I found an amazing voice teacher who taught me amazing technique. I went to vocal therapy and they taught me how to talk properly. And now I'm so grateful that I went through all of that, because now I know my voice so well, and I know exactly what to do to prevent myself from losing my voice, which leads me into the first thing that we're going to talk about, which is how to prevent losing your voice. The main reason that people lose their voice is not from singing, it is from talking, because while we're singing, we are obviously paying attention to our technique and how we are singing, and when we're talking, we just don't pay attention and we get lazy. Paying attention to how you're speaking is crucial to prevent yourself from losing your voice. Here are the things that you're going to do to fix your speaking voice. The first is going to be avoiding vocal fry. This is the vocal fry. It's kind of like how the Kardashians speak, or like the Valley Girl accent. Now, obviously, most of us don't like just talk like this, but if you are talking lower and in your throat, you might just naturally be going into the fry sometimes. That is not good, so we want to avoid that. Make sure that you are always speaking up and not in your throat, and not going into that fry. Not speaking in your throat. If I drop my voice down like this, then I'm speaking from my throat. And especially if I try to raise the volume, that is a lot, and I am gonna get tired doing that so fast. You want to think about speaking through your mask. Speaking up here in your mask area of your face, you just wanna feel it here and not here. That is the healthier way to speak, as long as I'm not like dropped down low and talking in my throat. I just try to place it up a little bit higher. And speaking of higher, let's talk about, you're probably speaking too low. This is a good test for you to know if you're speaking too low or not. It's called the test. Imagine that somebody's asking you a yes or no question that you are going to answer yes to, but instead of saying yes, you're gonna say That is about where your natural speaking voice sits, is where you kind of naturally say I had both a voice teacher and my vocal therapist do this test on me, and what do you know? I would talk down here and then I'd be like which is a crazy difference. So if you notice a difference, then you're probably speaking too low in pitch. Now that we've got the talking out of the way, that is probably the biggest culprit to why you're losing your voice all the time. But the next one is gonna be your vocal technique. Having great vocal technique is super important for your vocal health and longevity. How you get really good vocal technique is by finding a great voice teacher. I went through many bad voice teachers and many like fine voice teachers before I found the one that I found my junior year of high school, who is literally amazing. Taught me everything I know now, and she is why I am such a good singer. So huge shout out to her. And one of the most important things about my voice teacher is that I am super comfortable with her and we have a good relationship. I did find a voice teacher that could teach me vocal technique before the one that I have now, but I was not comfortable with that voice teacher, and I was kind of scared and intimidated by that voice teacher, and that did not help me to sing at my best. Singing is personal and it's vulnerable, and it's really important for your teacher to be someone that you are comfortable with, because if you're tense at all or kind of scared to sing a high note, then you're not gonna sing it well. Try really hard to find a great voice teacher who not only can teach you amazing vocal technique, but will also be someone that you are really comfortable with. High notes should feel easy and effortless. If you are straining to reach a high note or you're struggling to hit it, if it hurts at all, stop. The answer is not keep trying it, because your voice can only sing something wrong so many times. You should not feel hoarse after singing and practicing singing. And if you do, even if you feel fine while you're singing, I would check on that vocal technique. The vocal technique probably needs some help, probably needs some adjusting, which there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs to work on vocal technique. Now let's talk about warming up your voice. This may be a little bit controversial, but I am not a huge warm-up girly. I think warm-ups should be easy and simple and kind of effortless. You should not be exhausted after doing the vocal warm-up, obviously. I don't think that you need to sing through your entire range in a warm-up. I think a great warm-up is just humming lightly, buzzing, bubbles in a straw, any kind of like SOVT stuff, which I'll get into later. Don't worry, we'll talk more about that. Those are the best warm-ups in my opinion. And if something is later in the day, low-key y'all, sometimes talking warms me up enough, depending on what I need to do. One of my favorite things to do for a warm-up is singing a song that I've been doing for a long time that is super in my voice and that my voice loves and that I have really solid technique on. But know your voice and know yourself. Now let's talk about things to avoid. The first one, smoking and vaping. Do not do this, ever. Anything else on this list you can do sometimes, or you can do if you don't have to sing. Smoking and vaping, never, okay? For your overall health, for your vocal health. Just look at Miley Cyrus. She is so incredibly talented, amazing voice, but now she cannot tour and her voice is lower and she has a permanent vocal injury because she blew out her voice partying all night long after her concerts and talking too loud and smoking. All knows. We don't want to do that. Take care of yourself, and especially if you're a singer, take care of that voice by never smoking or vaping. Now, the next one is alcohol. If you're over 21, you may like to drink sometimes. I personally don't really ever drink, but drinking is not necessarily something that you should like never do if you're a singer. That's smoking and vaping. But drinking you can absolutely do in moderation, obviously, and watching when you do it. Now, there will be people always that are doing some of these things that I'm telling you not to do, but that does not necessarily mean that you should join them. Use wisdom, because alcohol is bad for your voice. Sleep is so important for your voice, and alcohol messes with your sleep and it dehydrates you. So alcohol is not the best thing. Some other things that are not great for your voice are acidic things. A lot of these things you should avoid before you go to bed at night because that can cause like acid reflux. Spicy foods or acidic foods or chocolate or anything like that before you go to bed is bad, or also just like right before you sing. You eat these things before you go to bed, you could get acid reflux and that could get acid on your cords and not be good. The best thing if you need to eat and it's before you're going to bed is to be eating something like bland crackers or bread. Something that's not gonna give you acid reflux. Soda is also not great. Caffeine dehydrates you. So if you gotta drink that coffee, you gotta drink that energy drink, that's fine. Just make sure that you were drinking extra water because that is dehydrating you a little bit. Chocolate is sadly bad for your voice because it's acidic, and that just makes me so sad because chocolate is my favorite thing in this whole world, and if I could eat a bag of M&Ms every show, I would, but unfortunately it's not great for you. Now, we're getting into a controversial one, which is my opinion, which is that dairy is not bad for your voice and you don't necessarily need to avoid it. When I went to vocal therapy, the ENT, the doctor that specializes in your voice, said that there's not really any solid studies that prove that dairy is bad for a voice or does anything to it. So she said that that's not something that I need to avoid and it's not necessarily bad for you. Now, obviously, if you feel affected by it, then by all means avoid it. Everyone is different, but I don't necessarily have to avoid it, which did change my life. Obviously, I'm not chugging a glass of milk before I go on stage. Water, obviously, is what I'm doing before I go on stage, but I am not affected if I have like a turkey and cheese sandwich before a show or I eat like mac and cheese. I'm just not affected by it. So that is my controversial take. Other things you should avoid: once your voice starts feeling tired, avoid talking. If your voice starts feeling fatigued at that first sign, stop talking. Another thing that you should avoid is depends, social events while you're in a show, depending on how hard the show is or what the social event is. Personally, during shows, sometimes I will avoid social events if they are gonna include large groups of people out somewhere, but there's gonna be music playing and it's gonna be crowded, and especially if it's late at night too. That's just another factor. You're going to have to talk extra loud to be able to be heard. And you're also probably not going to be paying attention as much to how you are speaking. And that is how you get fatigued. That is the real kicker. And if you're messing up your bedtime, your sleep schedule, that's also not good. Forgot to add about certain events where you might be screaming. So going on a roller coaster, going tubing on a boat, or going to a concert. Be mindful about screaming or yelling too loud or singing too loud. This is all of the time, even when you're not in a show. But when you are in a show and you know that going to those events and avoiding that completely will be really, really hard for you, maybe consider not going. When you go to these kinds of events, like a concert, for instance, you need to make sure that you should not be able to hear yourself sing because it's so loud at a concert. If you were singing loud enough to where you can hear yourself, you're probably singing too loud and it's gonna hurt yourself. Another thing to be mindful of is cheering for friends at shows, or if you go to see a Broadway show and like your favorite Broadway star is bowing. If I'm going to scream for someone, I used to kind of be like, yeah, and like yell from my throat. Now, if I wanna do any of that, I'll give it a woo, like a siren-y one and nothing like actual screaming or yelling. And same thing for roller coasters or any kind of like thrilling experience where you might want to scream. I would just make it a more of a woo over literal screaming. Being mindful of that, especially when you're in a show, but all of the time. Here's the last thing I'm going to say to avoid, and you might have to fight for this, which is singing too low or too high for an entire show. When I was in middle school and high school, I thought I was an alto. First of all, I'm not. I'm a mezzo soprano, but I just have a wide range and I can sing low. Because I could sing low, I thought that meant I should sing low, which is a no. And also, a lot of directors and adults and music directors thought that that meant I should sing low too, so they would put me on the tenor part. Or for instance, I would play a newsie and they put me on the bass part, which now newsies is not written like crazy low, but you should not be trying to sound like a guy, ever. I blew out my voice so many times trying to sound like a man because I was cast as a guy in a show. It was horrible for my voice. I like literally developed coughs doing this for a whole show. Like, why am I singing like that? And I'm trying to make it darker and lower so I sound more like a guy. Like, cut that out. I just did a national tour. I just finished it. Everything in that show was written low. It was written in like a tenor range. And I knew that that was not sustainable because I learned from the experience to be singing that low for an entire show. So I fought for myself and I said, put me on the high harmony whenever it's possible. I don't want to sing this low the whole time. It's not good for me. And they agreed and they put me on higher harmonies when it was possible. Now, did that mean that I cannot sing that low or I couldn't sing that stuff? No. But did it mean that it was necessarily healthy? Also, no. You gotta think about in your sustainability of your voice and just be really smart when it comes to things like that. And that might even mean that you need to ask the music director or director to move you to a different part or allow you to sing something else. If they ask you to sing a tenor part and you're not a man, or if you're a guy and you have a lower voice and they're asking you to sing a tenor part and it's super high the whole time, that's also not sustainable for you to do. Now let's talk about things that are amazing for your voice. Number one is sleep. I know y'all are sleeping on sleep, and I used to, because in middle school and high school, I would get 6 hours of sleep, and I thought I was fine. And I was like, wow, you guys, I can do anything. Like, I'm just so busy, and I'm doing it all on 6 hours of sleep, and I'm not even tired. Girl, now as an adult, I have learned just how much sleep I need to be my best self and to be the best singer I can be, which is 9 to 10 hours of sleep. As a singer, it's really important to let your body sleep however long it needs to. So that means you gotta figure out how much sleep your body naturally needs, and then when you figure that out, you gotta go to bed early enough in order to get it. Personally, you will never catch me waking up at 5 a.m. I won't be doing that. I am sleeping till 9 or 10 every day because that is what's best for my voice. I have noticed that when I get 7 hours of sleep a few nights in a row, like even like 3 nights in a row, I will start to notice that parts of my range are harder to sing because my body is more tired and I'm not getting enough sleep. 9 to 10 is just perfect. And that is what I need in order to do my very best. So figure out what that is for you. The next one you also know, which is water. Making sure you are hydrating enough and also making sure that you are not hydrating too much, because yes, you can also overhydrate, which is also not good for you. You gotta find a happy medium. Middle school, I just straight up didn't drink enough water. High school, I drank a little more water than I did in middle school, but still not enough. I would drink like 10 water bottles before my audition. If it was tech week or something, I would drink a bunch of water. But other than that, I didn't drink enough water. Your entire body needs water to function, but do you really need to talk to survive? No. These vocal cords are your body's last priority because you need your heart to pump blood to survive. You need your lungs to be able to breathe to survive. Like you need your muscles to be able to work to survive. But your voice is kind of the last priority. If you don't hydrate well the day before, the next day kind of doesn't really matter because when you are drinking water today, that's really hydrating you for the next day. So it's important to just be hydrated every day. Something that's also good for your voice is physically warming up your body before you sing, because if you warm up your body, you will have less tension, you will be more warm and ready to move and use your body, because when you're singing, you're not only using your little vocal cords here, you're also using your entire body basically in order to sing. You have to use your core. Another thing that is great for your voice is healthy food. Fueling your body properly and well is important for your voice because everything that you put into your body affects your voice. And if you eat healthy, that is the best thing to do for your voice. Eating whole foods, not eating processed foods, not eating a bunch of junk. Apples are something that is really good for your voice, and honey is also really great for your voice as well. Those are both really good snacks to have and that are hydrating for your body and good for your voice. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a Grethers Pastille because those are awesome. They're made for singers. Any kind of lozenge that doesn't have menthol in it, because menthol is drying, is good, but I really do like Grethers Pastilles. They taste really good. They hydrate my mouth and my throat very well. The show's at night and I've been up all day and talking. Sometimes I just feel warm enough to do the show without a warm up. But if I have an audition or something in the morning, then waking up 2 hours before you have to sing is key. That is a good thing to avoid that morning voice, because if I wake up and then immediately just like get ready and go to the audition and I've only been up for 45 minutes, I'm not going to sound my best because my body hasn't had time to warm up because you've been sleeping and your voice has been resting. 2 hours is a really good time in order to wake up, do your SOVT warm-ups, your buzzing, your lip trills, your humming, and all of that jazz, and that will help get you warm in time for your audition. Now we are going to talk about what to do when you are fatigued, when you overuse your voice and you're tired, or when you get sick and your voice is tired out of your control. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The first thing you're gonna do when you're sick or when your voice is starting to feel tired or fatigued is stop talking. I know it's hard, y'all. I talk all the time. If I start feeling tired, if I stop talking for the rest of the day, usually I feel good by the next day. Not talking is crucial. And if you have to talk, it is best to just talk normally. Whispering is not good for your voice. It's almost just as damaging as yelling. So don't whisper, ever. I try to never whisper. This kind of a whisper is really, really bad for your voice. But if I need to talk and I am fatigued, I'm just going to talk quietly like this. So I'm still on my voice and not being really breathy. I'm just talking lighter. And I'm also not talking in my throat or raspy at all or vocal frying. That's all bad. Don't whisper. I know it's tempting and it is really hard to keep up this placement. It takes more effort when you are tired or sick, but believe me, it is better for your voice and you will recover faster. Using a steamer is really great for your voice. Hot steam. It always makes me feel so much better, especially when I am sick. And I did not know this until embarrassingly recently, but apparently after you steam your voice, you should rest for like 20 minutes. It's not good to immediately jump into talking, singing right after you steam. You can buy actual steamers. You can buy portable ones or you can buy some that plug into the wall. Or if you don't have that, you can literally just turn on the shower really hot and close the door. That also works. And a lot of people use nebulizers as well. I'm not as versed in the nebulizers as steamers. I do have one though, but I do feel like that like really opens up like my chest and like my airways a little more, but I don't really know all the science behind that. This next one is really, really hard, but I try to never cough or clear my throat. Especially when you're sick, it's so hard to do, but I just try to drink water really hard until the feeling goes away, or I just try to ignore it until it goes away. When you cough, it doesn't actually make the mucus go away, it just like moves it, and it's gonna go back on your cords anyways, but the best thing to do is just kind of talk through it, try to get through it over clearing your throat, because when you clear your throat, your tiny little vocal cords are like slamming together, and that is not good for them, and that is really the main reason that you lose your voice when you're sick, is the postnasal drip of the mucus dripping down your throat, and you coughing and clearing your throat. So I try to never cough or clear my throat. If I do really, really need to cough, I just make it a clear cough, because this like, that goes on for way longer. Just get one good cough out over doing a bunch of that. Like if you have to really cough, just try to do it once over clearing your throat for 5 minutes. The next thing with this, which is really gross, okay y'all, but it's real and it's true, is you gotta spit out your mucus. If you're sick, swallowing your mucus is not good. It's just gonna go right back to your vocal cords. If your mucus comes up, spit it out. It's disgusting, y'all, but it has to be done and it has to be said. Now we are going to talk about the SOVT exercises that you can do. These things are very good for you if you are tired or fatigued. Lip buzzing. Or you can do it with your tongue too, like. Not everyone can do that, but if you can roll your R's, if you can do that, that's also good. That's also SOVT. Doing a V, and also straw work. So if you get a straw, and you can do like 2 or 3 coffee straws, or you can do 1 normal size straw, and you sing through that straw. The importance of that is making sure that you are going all through the straw and not letting the sound leak out on the sides of your mouth, all of it through the straw, blowing bubbles and singing into your water bottle. So your water can't be like full. If your water is about like halfway full, that is good. And blowing bubbles in your water on pitches and doing scales into your water is a great thing to do for your voice. Now we're moving on to the last thing, which is what to do if you absolutely have to sing when you are sick or tired. First of all, calling out when you are sick and when you are tired is really important to do for our overall longevity and health. But if you absolutely have to sing when you are sick or tired, you can, depending on how sick and fatigued you are. If you are just a little bit sick or a little tired, or you're getting over it, you're almost through it, but your voice is still a little bit tired, it is possible to sing, especially if you have great technique. If you don't think you have really solid singing technique yet, I would try to avoid this completely and just vocal rest. It shouldn't hurt to sing, ever. Reminder, so if it's hurting really badly while you're trying to sing, stop. But with really solid technique, it is possible to sing through slight sickness or fatigue. Minor sickness, minor allergies, nothing insane. Don't push harder, go lighter. That being said, it will be physically harder to sing when you are tired or sick. What usually feels effortless will not feel as effortless. You just don't want to feel effort in your throat, but in your body, you'll feel more effort. Don't test yourself backstage a bunch of times and like really warm up, testing it, singing the hardest parts of your song backstage, making sure you can do it still. Don't do that. You need to go easy and just really only sing when you absolutely have to. Go on stage and rely on your good technique to get you through it. And again, if you don't have good technique yet, that's okay. Don't try to push through when you're sick or tired. It's just important to be smart about it and listen to your voice and to your body on when you need to stop and not do that. Your voice is your baby. Your voice is your instrument, and you only get 1 set of vocal cords, and they are literally teeny tiny. They're like the size of your pinkies. It is so important to take care of them. Take care of your voice like you are already a Broadway star. You have to build the habits of where you want to be now so that you can get to where you want to be. So if you want to be a Broadway star, you have to treat your voice like a Broadway star would. If you want to learn how to improve in other aspects of your career in more than just your vocal health and in your singing, then go watch my latest video, which is how to level up your acting career in 3 months. It's all about how to glow up and become our best musical theater selves this summer. So I will see you in that video, but thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned something new and you learned how to take care of your voice better. That was everything you needed to know about vocal health. Bye. I will see you in the next video.